In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. Join Pastor David Ene, Senior Pastor, World Consulate Assembly, Uyo, as he shares the banquet on radio. We celebrate you.
Good morning and welcome to the Banquet on Radio. I am Pastor Michael Eto, and today I'll be speaking to you about the consequences of excuses. In Luke 14:15-24, Jesus tells a parable of a man who gave a great banquet and invited many, but all the people he invited made excuses for not honoring his invitation. The man in this parable represents God, and the people he invited represents every one of us. This parable of the great banquet illustrates the consequences of giving God excuses. Every invitation, instruction, or direction given by God is meant to bring us into His blessing. In this parable, God sent out an invitation for people to come and be blessed, but they all made excuses for not coming. This shows that not everyone wants to be blessed. Many people have missed out on God's blessing because of their excuses. People often complain why God watches on while there is so much suffering in the world. But the truth is that there are people who reject God's blessing by their excuses. God does not bless people by force. The blessing is a matter of choice. The blessing is a consequence of abiding by God's principles. In Deuteronomy 30:19, God says, "I call heaven and earth to witness against you today, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Therefore choose life, that you and your offspring may live." When people give God excuses, they deny themselves of His blessing. When people give God excuses, they lose the place God had prepared for them. When Adam fell from grace, his excuse was that Eve made him to disobey God. Many people have lost their place in God because of someone. Whenever you give God excuses, someone else will take your place. This is because there can never be a vacuum in God's kingdom. Psalm 109 verse 8 says, "Let another take his place." In spite of his excuse, Adam still lost his place in the Garden of Eden. This shows that God does not understand your excuses. You are the only one who does. Your excuses may sound reasonable to you, but not to God. Romans 2 verse 1 in the Good News Bible says, "You have no excuse at all, whoever you are." God always finds our excuses unacceptable for the following reasons. Number 1, your excuses reveal your priority. When you give God excuses, you are indirectly telling Him that He and His kingdom are not a priority to you. People often make excuses for something they do not deem to be important. So, when you give God excuses, you are telling God that He, His kingdom, and instructions are not important. 1 Samuel 2:30, God says, "For them that honor me, I will honor, and they that despise me shall be lightly esteemed." The implication of this statement is that if God and His kingdom are not a priority to you, you and your problems will not be a priority to God. Number 2, your excuses reveal your character. Your excuses can never make you look responsible. Responsible people don't make excuses, they take responsibility. Every excuse you make accuses you of irresponsibility. While responsible people always find a way, irresponsible people always find an excuse. Tragically, it's easier for some people to find an excuse for not doing something than to find a reason to do it. It's a pity that some people have excuses for everything. They have excuses for their failure, for their misbehavior, for their miserable lives, for not developing intimacy with God, and for not living by God's principles. Number 3, your excuses reveal your lack of commitment. Committed people don't make excuses, they show commitment. Imagine someone making excuses for cheating on his spouse. The spouse would never find such excuse acceptable. Similarly, God can never accept our excuses for not committing our lives to Him. Number 4, your excuses can alter your destiny. Every excuse you make is driving your life in a different direction and to a different destination. Excuses are not an escape route from your responsibilities. Instead, they rob you of God's blessing. My prayer for you today is that you realize the futility of your excuses and take responsibility for your blessing. God bless you.
The Banquet on Radio was brought to you by Word Consulate Assembly, Uyo. For more information and details, please call 081 83765321 or 080 39566773. Worship with us at the Conference Hall, Tantalizers, Abak Road, Uyo. Stay blessed.